Hello and welcome to episode 3 of ZED Talk's Leaguecast Fixes Champions. This week, we will be talking about Caitlyn, Camille, Cassiopeia, Cho'Gath, and Corki. Joining me this week is Colton Blue Basket Sweat.
I'm here. I just thought you were going to introduce Nick first.
I know you weren't ready. And then Nick the King Cooper.
Yo, that's me. I'm going to be clicking around a second to go to voice activation because we're recording on TeamSpeak.
Yeah.
Whoa. So I think it's good now. Hey, cool. Pog. Okay.
So, do you just want to kick it off right away?
Let's get into it. We don't need to pussyfoot around, you know?
Yeah. I'm excited. This episode might be a little bit shorter just because we don't think a couple of the characters at least need really much.
Yeah.
But we'll do our best to talk about them. So Caitlyn, I think, is one of the characters that at least Nick and I have for years have always talked about as being a perfectly designed character. Perfect in quotes, obviously. She's not actually perfect, but she's pretty close to it. Lots of counterplay. Pretty understandable strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, so I think when we talk about very fair kits that are have very clear counterplay and aren't too oppressive, I think Caitlyn is the first one that comes to mind for most of us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, at least for Aiden and I. I think Colton, it leans toward Oriana. But on every single ability, there's a way to play around it, or there's long startup time, or it's her net, which is just a fine ability. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like she is oppressive early game, has a pretty weak mid game, has a pretty decent late game, and is generally good regardless of the bot lane meta, as long as crit items are usable.
Yeah, as long as crit items and AD carries are fine, because she has so much range. She's always a pickable character. To jump into, I guess, changes, because I think her kit is very good. I think she's a well-designed AD carry. If I were to pitch any changes, one thing I would say, just right off the bat, easy, I think you should be able to see the trap behind towers.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
And that's an easy thing. I wouldn't mind seeing her headshot adjusted to deal more damage to tanks and maybe less damage to squishies. If they made it headshot ignores bonus armor, or some bonus armor does percentage health damage. To me, that's one of the most annoying parts of Caitlyn is when she's really ahead and has a rapid fire and she just headshots you once for 90% of your health. You're cool. I like that. That being said, I don't think that headshot is oppressive in any way. But I do think it'd be an interesting way to give her some more identity.
I think that's actually a really good point, though, because I don't find her you never go, holy fuck, that Caitlyn's just slapping us in a random team fight, right? She does pretty average damage for an AD carry, if not below average. But the only time she feels super gimmicky is when your squishy steps on a trap and gets headshot autoed from the trap into net autoed from her net headshot. So they hit double headshot and they lose 95% of their health, and then if no one's there to block it, she ults them and kills them. An AD carry shouldn't have gimmicks like that, I don't think. I feel AD carry is a pretty I don't know,
straightforward.
It's not even straightforward. It's a role without gimmicks, I guess. It's a I almost want to use a gentleman role, you know what I mean? Not to
I think straightforward's a good word for it.
Yeah,
not a lot of hidden gimmicky stuff.
Yeah, I just
what
feel
you see is what you get.
Forthright,
yeah, exactly.
Maybe?
Forthright is pretty good. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, personally, I think Caitlyn's fine. I wouldn't change anything about her. Like Colton was saying, maybe increase her efficiency versus tanks, although her weakness versus pure armor tanks is kind of one of the things that balances her, I think. So I don't know.
I also wouldn't hate it if they made her ultimate a skill shot. I think you'd have to make it probably it would have to be the fastest moving projectile in the game. I would say that. If it were, I would want it to be semi-global, but pretty much cover the map in under a second. But I think
here's the problem. If you make it a skill shot though, she can't she can't have the wind up, right? Because she has the wind up dude that's never hitting, right? And if it doesn't have the wind up, I I don't know. I don't know. I feel I like how it's like a long wind up for like a very. It can be strong, but it's pretty average for the most part.
I think that I would, if I were to turn it into a skill shot, I would make it kind of like Xerath Q, where you can see she's winding up, but she can be altering the aim on it as she's doing it.
Okay.
So, like, there's still a big wind up. You can tell Caitlyn's ulting, but, like, she can determine the actual fire of it at any point. But that being said, again, I don't think that has to be changed. I think she's fine as is, and I think that the blockability of her ult is very, like, straightforward counterplay, which is good. But that's more of a, like, if for some reason we had to change something about Caitlyn, I think that would be kind of dope if her ult was basically Sen ult, but, like, still did have a projectile speed.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't it be just, like, badass? Like, Jinx ult would just, like, triple the speed and thinner.
Yeah. It'd be pretty cool.
You're describing single target Sen ulti.
Yes. Yes, I am.
Yeah, I mean, it would fit her, like, thematic pretty well. But yeah, I just like her kit so much, and I think she's such a well-designed character that I don't want to see that. I think.
All right, alternate pitch. She's so accurate, she can bounce her Q off terrain.
Hell yes, I'm so fucking down for that. Actually,
that'd be pretty cool. Actually, there's
fucking a wanted style shot.
There's no way they can ever make a character that does that, right?
No, I mean, I think they tried to, like, in
Camille,
that sense, Zoe.
Yeah.
Right? But that's it?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's such a... I guess also Vel'Koz. Like, so they have done sort of that.
Yeah.
But it's self-created. It's not a self-created thing. It's not something in the world, though.
Yeah. Oh, you mean, like, it only bounces off of terrain. Like, she can't...
bounces off, like,
Oh, yeah, that would be problematic as fuck.
it'd be
bad.
It'd be so funny, though.
It would be great if you were sieging them under turret in top or bot lane, and that's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
She bounces back at your team. They're all hiding behind the tower.
Friendly fire.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's probably it. The only, I guess, another way you could go about it is, like, Caitlyn didn't make her gun, right? She received it.
I don't know if she did.
She received it, I think, right?
I think so.
Okay, I was gonna say some kind of, like, level-based upgrading of, like, the sniper alongside her range or something, but that doesn't really make sense. Nor do I think, like, it would really be good for her. There's already characters with, like, increasing range, and I think that her staple as always long range is pretty set.
So
what if she upgraded her gun throughout the game, so it was like a pistol at the beginning, then it like is like maybe like a shotgun, maybe like a flamethrower, maybe like a sniper, and like she could be like the gun character who has like a bunch of guns.
Yeah, but she switches them out. Like, she doesn't just straight upgrade.
Okay.
I mean,
She
you don't have
holds
infinite
two at
ammo.
any time. But there's no way she has infinite ammo.
You don't have infinite ammo, and you only have two hands. So
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, all right. So what if she's the sniper, and maybe if she gets proficient through the game, her auto attack, like her total auto attack time, is decreased to where it doesn't, like, she doesn't attack faster, but she completes her auto attack animation faster.
Huh.
So you get that, like, pow, and then you're moving again, you know?
Like, so you can like have like almost like better kiting.
I'm thinking like Senna, except you don't have to stand still for as long, and you wouldn't get the move speed bonus.
Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. That's
I
an
don't know.
interesting
A
idea.
mechanic like that would be, like, pretty interesting.
What
I
if
think.
her attacks dealt more damage the farther away the unit was?
Hell yes. That's actually super, super interesting. She'd have to have a pretty fucking hard penalty versus, like, assassins and stuff that are right on her.
Mm-hmm.
But that'd be cool. I like that. I like that trade-off.
Melee range, the Caitlyn, easy peasy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she gets that free E-auto, and you're like, doesn't matter. You're a
Yeah.
sniper.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay, but wait. Final pitch for Caitlyn.
Okay.
All right? Bigger hat.
I mean, I like it.
All right.
Every time she gets a kill, her hats get bigger.
Her hat just gets taller. It doesn't get
Uh-huh.
any wider. It just gets taller and taller.
That's the one. We found it.
And then at the end of
We
the
made our way
game,
there.
she just pulls out a sniper that's as long as the hat. Pulls it out from under her.
Hell yeah.
I'm imagining her as like Jeff Faley from fucking Dive Kick, where every time she gets a kill, her head just gets huge.
All right, we fixed Caitlyn, guys. Don't worry.
Caitlyn. Nice.
Next is Camille. I probably play the least Camille out of like all three of us. What do you guys think about her?
I think she's fine.
I think easy fix. Give her blade arms and regular legs.
Yeah.
That's just the skin. Definitely not Camille.
Yep, definitely not Camille. She's just
In parentheses, look at her legs. That's the whole skin name.
No. So Camille, I think she's in a pretty good spot overall. I think her kit's pretty well balanced. I don't know if I would really want to change anything in particular. Maybe
I guess
the passive I'm not a huge fan of. The adaptive defense.
Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah, I think I'd rather see something else. But like she's already got so much happening in her kit.
Yeah. I mean, I actually think she's a very well designed character as well. And she doesn't need any changes. The only one off the top of my head, I think she struggles, or she performs a little bit too well versus both tanks and squishies. So maybe give her Q a max bonus health ratio of the enemy you're hitting and reduce the base damage or AD scaling. So she's a little bit worse versus squishies, but a lot better versus tanks. Or she maintains like the same strength versus tanks.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't get to build full tank and just one hit a squishy.
Yeah, I could see that.
But otherwise, like, I think she's fine. I think she has pretty clear like weaknesses. If she misses her E, she's pretty useless.
I think her ulti dome should count as terrain for her.
That would be so sick. I like that change actually.
Like she should be able to fucking hook shot off her own ult.
That would be so cool.
Only if there's no other terrain in range though. Because I think
fair.
like if you ulted and you wanted to get away, having that would be kind of like lame.
I like that idea though. Fucking you drop your. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, that's actually so cool. Cool.
Yeah. I like
Character designer extraordinaire.
Because it kind of is. It's terrain for the enemy, right?
It's like pseudo terrain.
Like it only affects you two.
I mean, it affects like with the knockback, right?
I guess and then you could still use it to hit other opponents, but I still think that'd be really cool.
I think so too.
But like, it only interacts as terrain for her. The only other thing I could maybe see is if they played around with her W for like hitting minions, or maybe like
boring as fuck.
Or maybe her Q, like again, if she like last hit something with it, getting some sort of refund. But those are very small. There's like, if you want to give her a little buff sort of thing, like, hey, it does more damage to minions or whatever it might be. I think it would be kind of cool if like the W right now, if I recall, if she hits the sweet spot, it heals her and it slows the enemy.
Yeah.
If she hits it in the close cone, it just does less damage and doesn't slow.
It doesn't slow or heal.
Yeah. I think it'd be interesting, like, if it maybe slowed her if she hit it in the close one.
Oh.
Like, you're using your blade leg and you get stuffed, like...
Yeah, I like that.
Slows you down. Like, I don't know.
I think there'd have to be a bigger reward for hitting into the sweet spot.
Yeah, they need to do something to the sweet spot.
How many characters are there in game that if you outplay their mechanic, they get punished negative effects wise?
Very
few.
few. And that's one thing that I had been wanting. I put it on the spreadsheet, or not the spreadsheet, the notes for like the actual show.
Yeah, it was when you and I did the two-man show, I think.
Yeah, I want to talk about that as like a long-form conversation about like negative effects of abilities, because I think that that's really interesting, and I would love to see more of it in the game, where it's like, if you do it right, big reward. If you do it wrong, like, it's gonna punish you. I think that's cool.
Yeah, it's just a little iffy to implement that, I think, because then you don't want it to become I think a good comparison is like Marvel, where you just have to get one hit and then it's on you to perform well, right? Versus the opponent to outplay it.
Fair.
So it has to be like implemented really well to allow both parties to have some agency.
So I think that's probably all we can say about Camille.
Yeah. It's hard because a lot of these characters are like fine right now and also pretty well designed.
I think most like our discussions could come out like characters that are like either old or just problematic, I guess.
Yeah.
That being said, you definitely have to think differently about a character that is well designed.
Yeah, because there is still definitely stuff you can always change about characters, like even if they're well designed. Just
give him a bigger hat.
Cassiopeia, though.
Okay, Cassiopeia. What do you guys think?
I think she abuses Conqueror too hard. Currently, I guess.
I think that spells shouldn't work with Conqueror.
I mean, that's probably true. I think she should only get I think E should have a longer cooldown if she does not use it against poison targets.
Okay, I'd be fine if they put that back.
But
how that was.
I think it should heal you every time, if that makes sense.
How does it work currently for healing? I'm not sure. I thought it was.
It only heals versus poison targets.
Oh yeah, okay. I thought I knew that. I thought you meant like it does. It only heals like every 5th poison target. I thought you meant like there's some weird thing like that, but
no. But I think as a trade-off for it having a longer base cooldown, like it would heal every time, I guess.
That's fine.
And just reset if you use it on a poison target.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so,
I'm not sure.
Real quick, I just had to verify this. It always... Never mind. It only heals if they're poisoned. It just does bonus damage if they are poisoned as well. I thought that it still healed and the healing was doubled when she ate a non.
I think it used to be that way.
Yeah, but now, okay, it only heals if they're poisoned. I agree with that.
Yeah. So I think like swapping that to where the cooldown is reset if you hit it on a poison target, but there's the like there's healing all the time now if you like, so you still don't lose that aspect of it, I guess.
I mean, I'm fine if it doesn't heal and it doesn't get the cooldown reset if you miss it. Like, if you're throwing E's and you don't have poison on them, like, you're playing it wrong. And I think that then you shouldn't get... Like, I think that you can just build her numbers around, like, her E healing and getting cooldown reset if you have them poisoned. And then you just kind of, again, build the rest of it around that.
Yeah, that's what I mean, too. Like, it feels like current Cassiopeia is spammer E versus a poison-based mage, I guess. But I think, like, the other aspects of her kit are super fine and pretty, like, fair, to be honest. I mean, I love seeing the, like, miasma flash petrifying gaze plays. Like, that's so sick.
Yeah.
But, like, the only other thing I think I would change is her passive.
Just, no shoes?
Yeah.
I hate that. So it's a good idea, right? It makes her like weaker at... Okay, first of all, it has to be more clear. If you want to keep it in the game, it has to be more clear when her weak points are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you guys know off the top of your head if she's faster than characters at level 1, 6, 11, 16, 18?
Nope.
I want to say
idea.
it breaks off around 13 or 14. But I could be wrong.
Like, her being faster or slower?
Her being about the same speed.
Okay.
At those ranks. And
so
then
you're
she'd
saying
be faster
at like 18,
beyond.
she's like about the same.
I think 18 she's faster.
That's insane. Why is she faster? She definitely shouldn't be faster at 18, right?
I mean, I could be like wrong about that. Let me pull it up real quick.
I just like that's something that's not clear, at least, right? I don't know when this character who can't buy boots is faster than other characters, right?
And granted, you could click on her and look. But I agree.
I think I'd be much better if it was just like she doesn't have boots ever, and actually no, because then she can't get like to and from objectives. I was gonna say just like increase the movement speed on her Q even more, but that's not good either. Fuck. I
So
probably should
she
make it work
she gains 4 movement speed per level. And at max rank, at level 18, she's at 400 move speed, which I think is pretty above average, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And level 14, she's at 384 move speed.
Because boots are plus 25.
Yes, plus
but
25,
but her base is even lower than a lot of characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, her base is 332, so she starts out pretty low.
I think the idea is that she's slower on boot spikes, right? When you buy first boots, she's slower than she's slower when other people have first boots,
yes,
usually, and then she's slower when people upgrade their boots. But then she like evens out after, or like even is higher. Which I don't know. I feel like she should have a disadvantage not having fucking boots. You get a 6th item, right?
Yes, and I think the disadvantage is you do miss out on that spike earlier. Like 18 magic pen for 1100 gold is insane. And then on top of that, you get the move speed, right? And I think that's sort of the trade-off, because if she had double move speed or double pen items, that would be insane. If you could just go like Oblivion Orb into Sork Shoes, that would be crazy.
All right, so I'm digging deep to come up with some Cassiopeia reworks, and I think that one way we could do it is like, again, if we're taking a look at all the like poison characters in general, I think that there's a lot you could do there in terms of like unique interactions, or like poisoned as a condition in the game as opposed to just being a damage over time.
Yeah, we've definitely talked about that before.
Yeah. That being said, I think it'd be interesting if maybe I feel like I'm not sure how exactly you would do it. Maybe her poison stacks, and it's like every time you E a target, they gain another stack of poison, and the Q can only apply the first one, and it's like concurrent E's deal additional damage or something. Like you're continuing to stack poison. I think that is a way you could go about it, where again it's like if you don't just like Q and throw 2 E's, it's about use the movement speed to stay on them, get multiple E's, extend the fight, and then you really pop off late.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
I like that, yeah. I think she's just like hard. I feel like she just has like weird stuff in her kit. Like I like her Q, I like her E. I like that you guys had your couple changes for her E. Her W, what do you think about her W? Especially since they've changed it so that has no like minimum cast range.
I like her W a lot. I think it offers a lot of counterplay for the champions she's weak against, which could be problematic, of course. But I mean, it also has a super long cooldown. You're maxing it last. So
I wish there was still the minimum cast range on it. I feel like
so?
So it was a clunky mechanic. They removed it because it was clunky, right? Like it feels bad to not be able to cast something at a short range, I guess. You know what I mean? That's like a weird thing. That being said, it completely changed how a lot of matchups go for that character, right? Like the way you beat Cassiopeia with certain characters was you getting close on her, right? Like think of like matchups like Fizz. Like now you're fucked at range and you're fucked up close, right? Because if you get up close, she throws miasma and you can't use W or Q, or E or Q. Whereas like before it was like she has to just zone you, like she has to play the zoning game properly. Now it's like she can play the zoning game properly, but she can also disable characters' kits when they get close as well, which is, I don't know. I feel like there's some disconnect of like what she's supposed to be doing versus what she can do with that change.
I guess so. Yeah, I think it just feels too bad to have the minimum one.
Yeah, that's definitely why they changed it, right? Is because it just feels awful to not be able to cast an ability like at a certain range.
So then I think the counterplay to that is leaving it with no cast range, but making it so it's not an instant ground effect. Like you have to interact with it somehow to apply the grounding effect to units in the miasma.
Or what if so you know how like it's like a bigger AoE the further away you cast it?
Yeah.
Why isn't it like just like a little circle puddle when it's cast on top of you? You know, like that
I think
range.
it is.
It isn't. It's still like a small little cone. It's still a pretty small cone.
Yeah, but it's tiny, I guess.
I just want it to be a circle, man. If you cast it right on top of yourself, like minimum range.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that would make it feel a little bit better, right?
Yeah.
I just think that's a weird mechanic, I guess. I think ground is a very undervalued mechanic in the game.
I think it's way stronger than people realize.
It's
Oh,
really
absolutely.
strong.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's weird, Cassiopeia. Would you make anything changes to the ult in terms of? I wouldn't mind again if they did some kind of like stacking poison thing where like depending on how many stacks of poison the enemy has, the petrification is longer, and maybe making the ultimate less of a burst tool and more of a CC tool.
I have one crazy change, but it would never work in League. It would be so fucking good in Dota though.
Mm-hmm.
What if her poison as a status effect, decreased your turn speed?
I'd be sick.
How sick would that be for her kit though? Right? So the longer you fight her, like the slower like you like turn and like move and stuff like that. So that you can't
you become petrified.
Yeah, before you can't turn fucking dodge or alt. Oh, it'd be so good, man.
I think that would have to be our passive.
It just can't work in League though. You can't
can't.
decrease turn speed in League. There's no way, right?
Nope.
Nah.
Nope. Unfortunately, because I mean, it's a very interesting way to balance specific champions and like how they interact with champions that are ranged, for instance, and why melee carries are huge in Dota but non-existent in League.
I think it's a cool thing that the games differ. Like, I don't think it's a positive or a negative either way. I feel like they both have their strengths and weaknesses for it. Though.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely have the preference for turn radius. I think it makes characters more viable and more interesting. But no, that would work super well. Like, that would be so sick. And it has obvious synergies with her kit as well.
Yeah. It'd just be cool
well.
if poison wasn't just like a DOT thing. It was like an actual status effect, but
Yeah.
I agree.
oh well.
Yep. Cool.
Cho'Gath.
So we were talking about this one before the show. I think this character's fine. He's definitely a relic of the past, but I think his kit works well enough together to sort of catapult him into relevancy.
I think he's only relevant because his stats are nutty, and as fine as he is, like, he's viable and he's pretty good, but I think his kit's kind of dog. Like, I do not like his kit.
It's old. Is there any ability that's been changed? Well, his E's changed, right? But other than that,
It just went from a toggle to an on-hit.
It feels way better.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, I mean, it also does way more damage.
Yeah.
It's a
And
better
slows. Yeah.
So I think you have to keep the feast 100%, and you want to keep the E.
Would you change his feast at all? Like before we get off that, like would you keep it as a 6 stack on minions, then infinite stack on characters? It does like a ton of damage. It feasts epic monsters and stuff like that.
I think you have to keep it the same. I think it's too iconic for that character.
Maybe because I think off the bat, I think his passive is one thing you should definitely change. The kill a minion, get mana and HP back, like,
yeah,
that's just bad.
It is old, yeah.
And I think the options for that would be to move his stacking HP onto killing minions, which isn't good because Scion already has that. So I think you keep the HP on the ult. I would be fine if they made the Q. I think it'd be cool if it was like a bigger circle with a longer range, but a slower like duration and a longer cast time.
The cast time is so fucking long, dude. I think hitting raw Cho'Gath Q is one of the hardest abilities in the game to hit.
Yeah, I would be fine if it increased alongside his size. Like maybe
cool.
for every like 3 stacks of his ult, the Q gets a little bigger. Like I like the idea of like all of his stuff getting bigger. I think that could even be made into like his passive, and then give him maybe some kind of defensive ability where like damage that comes into him is given to his mana pool or something, or I'm not sure. I think that like him as the like devour everything around him kind of character could be played up a lot more in his team other than just his ult. But I think it'd be really dope if his passive was mainly just like everything about him gets bigger as the game goes on.
I could have sworn it does get bigger.
The Q?
Oh, okay. His E gets bigger.
His E gets bigger only, yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, again, I think, like, okay, the Q range or the AoE gets bigger. Like, the W is a bigger cone of silence. Like, I think I'd probably want to change the W in general, but I like the idea of, like, as Cho'Gath gets huge, everything about him gets huge.
Yeah.
Right, you've got, like...
his Q is just, like, such a crazy good CC ability, like, by itself. I mean... Not by itself, but like as a single ability to have a 1 second AoE knockup that is also a 60% slow for 1.5 seconds after. Like that's a crazy ability if you can hit it. Mm-hmm. So to make it like that big I think is a little scary. But I do like that idea of him just becoming like so strong and big. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you definitely have to do something with the passive, though. Like, of all of the things I'd want to hit, that passive is dumb.
Yeah, I think it has to stay on his E, then. I think it has a place in his kit, unfortunately.
I mean, I could see it if, like, your E spikes kill something, you get health back.
Yeah, you get some health and mana back.
I'd be fine with that, I guess, but just, again, it's like... all of his sustain is built into getting last hits, which is, I don't think, a very fun interaction. And it feels really bad against a Cho'Gath when you're like, oh, cool, I won that trade. And then he QW'd the wave and is back to half health.
It's actually insane how much healing he gets. Like at level 1, if he last hits the entire wave, he gets 120 HP.
Uh-huh. It's nuts.
Yeah, that's a free health potion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He is weak, like other than that though. Like he needs that in his kit currently. I think he like, just gets beaten up by like any newer character in the game.
Yeah, he does kind of suffer from like stat check the champion. If you have enough health to survive his combo, he's kind of bad.
Yeah,
and if he has enough damage, you just get one hit.
Okay, I have some thoughts. I had a Cho'Gath epiphany that I think would actually be pretty dope. All right, So we move the feast mechanic to his E, and it still can. I think it can last hit minions. I think it can last hit characters, and like the amount of health you get is just a flat amount based on what you last hit. So it's like you last hit a minion, you get like 1 or 2. You last hit a champion, you get more. And then his ultimate is like he gets real big depending on his ult stack, and he just like crushes the ground around him and makes like fucking huge craters every time he steps that slows everything around him. Nah.
I think it's good. I mean I feel like he needs something. He's just boring, right? We need like that's at least interesting.
I don't know. I think that again, he's fine as is because his numbers are good. And because dealing 1,000 true damage to an 80 carry, or twice that if you bought an item, that doubles it because, you know, gargoyles.
Well, they've made it a little bit better because now gargoyles does.
It only works on bonus HP.
Health, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But still, 1,000 true damage to an 80 carry is nuts. And being able to, like, outsmite everyone late game on Dragons and Barons is nice, but I don't know. I think that he's got some room to grow for sure. Well, there's somebody else on the list who's even more fucked.
This one's the most fucked. Corki. He's a disaster, right? I feel like we've talked about him a lot on the show as just being a disaster of a character.
Yep. He's not good. He's in a weird spot where you build 80 carry and crit items but do 90% magic damage. Your abilities matter way less than your autos, even though you're constantly spellcasting. His passive doesn't feel like it's a thing, and then you get it, and it's like, oh, cool, everyone knows, and then I get to either clear a wave or maybe get a gank off. But in pro play, I just use it to clear waves. I think you scrap everything about Corki except for maybe the skill shot rockets.
So I actually don't think his magic like is an issue. I guess I think it's pretty interesting for a character to be able to do that, and I think there's enough items in League between if you build Tabby and Adaptive Helm, like Corki does very little damage to someone, but I don't understand the idea of his package. Right? It lasts for a minute. It does a lot of damage and has a big slow, but also knocks things too far out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
It only lasts for a minute. Half of that is going to be spent getting to the lane that you want to fight. It has a huge global sound, and you get vision of him for a couple seconds as the enemy team. And then he's an AD carry who has an engage tool, probably one of the best in the game, actually. Like, I don't know. I think that's the only part of his kit that doesn't necessarily make sense. Because I do think there's room in League for a magic auto attack based champion that isn't like Azir, you know?
Yeah, but I guess I don't know. Yeah, because like the other option is to make it go like the route of Kale, where it's like magic on hit, and I wouldn't really want to see that either because I think that also exists. But
like I think my argument is I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with building crit AD items that your character can transition into majority magic damage.
I guess my only irritation with it is that it circumvents normal item paths to play against it. Of, okay, they're building crit, I go Randuin's. Well, that doesn't do anything really against Corki. Or it doesn't do nearly as much.
Yeah, but I think he also gets punished by Adaptive Helm more than crit characters get punished by Randuin's, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's just, again, like, in general, and especially for, like, a newer player, it's like, okay, there are two characters on the enemy team with Infinity Edge and Rapid Fire Cannon. I should buy Randuin's. Wait, why is Corki still one-hitting me?
Yes, that is problematic. Yes. There's not a lot of clarity unless you know what Corki does or have the wiki up.
Yeah. I think his E is... It's a really cool idea, but it's just not great. And I think it's stupidly good when the numbers are high, but normally it's just kind of there.
I mean, it doesn't reduce enough resists. Like, I don't think it's a fun ability regardless. But so he sprays for 4 seconds, and it ticks every 4 times a second, right? So it's 16 times, right? And it's 2.5 reduction, I think.
Yeah.
Each tick. So 2.5 times 16, like you reduce their armor and magic resist by 40 if you hit them for the entire time as an AD carry. Would you have to be really close? Like, is it even like closer than your auto range, or is it exactly your auto range?
It's about your auto range. I think your auto range is a little bit further, actually.
Okay. Either way,
I will find out.
They might be the same, actually.
Yeah, I would also wouldn't be surprised if it was like actually a little bit further than your auto range, even though it feels like it's melee range though. Is I guess what I'm trying to get at. So therefore, yeah, you can tread 40 armor and magic resist, which isn't that crazy in this game, by the way. But you have to sit on someone for 4 seconds with this ability that does almost no damage.
Mm-hmm. It is 50 longer range than his auto attack.
Okay.
It's 600 and his auto attack range is 550.
I'm glad it's longer. That feels good at least. If it's the exact same, that'd be weird.
I feel like what you could do with it is give it a slow that builds up the more times it's hit, and then take almost all the damage off of it and give it a bigger shred. Like, I want it to do very little damage, but lower resistances a lot, and I think the idea of, like, there's shrapnel everywhere, it's going to slow you down, like, I think that makes sense. How would you feel about that?
So I'm kind of, like, leaning in a different direction, like, personally. I would really... So it's a Gatling gun, right? I'm thinking like fast auto attack speed. Maybe you use it on a target and you get increased like attack range and attack speed against that target. It's a channel. It can be interrupted, and then if you try to switch targets, you lose the bonus or something like that with a pretty long cooldown.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that.
I don't know, because I actually sort of feel like the rest of his kit is fine.
Again,
Like I think his Q is fine. His Q is fine, right? And I think his ulti is fine.
I think they work okay, but I don't think they're great.
Yeah, I mean, they're not great, but for a auto attack based character, they don't feel like wastes to use, I guess. Like it feels better to use Corki Q in a team fight than I think it does to use like Caitlyn Q, for instance.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I definitely think I've played the most Corki out of any of us, and I do think he's a fun character to play, but he's just like such a weird mess of abilities and damage, and like I think definitely the package is the oddest part about him. I think that his W Valkyrie should just be a movement ability. I don't think anyone in the history of ever that wasn't building AP Corki for the lulz has tried to use his W for the damage.
It's trash, yeah.
It should just be a movement ability. Plain and simple.
I mean, all right. Can you guess like how much max damage it is? If someone stands on the entire thing.
For his passive, the
370.
package, or his W?
His W.
Just his W. Because the package does pretty good damage.
Yeah. Okay, so are we talking max rank W?
Max rank W.
If they stand
let's
there
say
the whole time.
let's say with 200 AP.
I don't know.
Or no, I'm sorry, not 200 AP.
That's a lot of
Just
AP.
0 AP because he doesn't build AP.
Yeah, okay, so if he has max rank W and they stand in it the whole time, 300 damage.
You hear my guess was, Nick? I looked it up, by the way. I just looked it up, but you heard my guess was before I looked it up, man.
You were pretty spot on,
That's
right?
insane. I said 370.
Yeah, it's 360.
That's crazy.
So if they stand in it for 2 entire seconds, it is a good damaging ability.
It's equivalent to 1 auto at that point in the game.
That is true.
Oh,
yeah.
yes. I mean, like, they would have to stand in it for a pretty long time, have 0 MR, and you'd have to be maxing it presumably first.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, I think just make it a movement ability. I think the fact that he's in, like, this dope helicopter is passed over and everything. Like, do something with it. I don't know what.
Ooh. Okay, what if it's Valkyrie normally, right? I think, like, a pretty short dash. If you hold it down, you root yourself and become unstoppable to use the package as it is right now, but it has a very long cooldown.
Huh. I like the idea, because the reality is, no matter what we do, his package needs to either be amped up really, really hard,
Yeah.
or the rest of his kit needs to be compensated. I talk about this not every single week, most weeks, how a character like Echo does too much damage because they compensate his kit to act like you're not going to hit his ultimate, because his ultimate is it's not something you can rely on, right? Corki,
If Echo's ulti did 0 damage, he would still be busted.
he'd be a good character, yes.
Yeah.
It feels like they designed Corki, though, with his like rework, to mean that you need to have your Valkyrie, like Rocket, your big one, not your big one. Is it called Valkyrie? The
Special delivery.
special delivery.
The
You need to have your
package, yeah.
the package. You need to have your package to like play him to his like highest extent, to like where you should be playing him.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm thinking. Like, you can use Valkyrie like normal, or you can use special delivery as like, holy shit, they're on me. Like, I'm going to be immune to the CC, but it's going to cost me like this very long cooldown.
Yeah.
And
I think even if you like lowered the damage a little bit on the package, and instead of pushing them away, it pulled them into the center of it, Because again, like,
That would be fucking cancer.
realistically, that's how that works in terms of, like, if a fast-moving object goes by you, you get sucked into the backdraft.
Yeah.
What about this? Valkyrie. It's like still does big package. Fuck. It does the same amount of damage. It's fucked. Like if you actually stand on the package, it does a lot of damage, right? But what Corki does is he drops a fucking forest fire. Like, have you ever seen them like do like controlled burns to like stop fires from burning out?
Yeah.
He drops a fucking fire cage.
Okay.
So like it creates like walls that burn for like 8 seconds or something like that around the fight.
Hell yeah.
So you can't just drop it. Well, I mean, you could try to drop it on people, but the idea is that you drop it on people. It creates this fucking chaos arena where people, if you try to leave, you're gonna get burned real hard. That's at least more fun, I think. Like if they're not gonna change anything else about them, like that's better than just dropping a package that immediately knocks them out of the fire.
I could see that working similar to, like, almost Pantheon, where, like, you pick the point you go to, and he, like, zooms to that point, stops, and does, like, a quick, like, spin and, like, throws it out in a cone in front of him.
That'd be
And it's
cool.
And, like, basically, like, a Cassiopeia W at that point, but, like, that's the wall of huge fire. And maybe, like, it passes out in a cone, and then it builds the wall there. So, like, it does a little damage on hit, but, like, if you run away from him through that wall of fire, it's big. That's fixed, okay? Fixed.
Yeah, I don't know. He's definitely a hard character to fix regardless, right? Like everything about him is just so awkward. I feel like they could do a lot of things. What if they made it? This is gonna be crazy. You guys are gonna be like, "You're taking away his plane? That's insane." I'm not taking away his plane. I'm giving him options. He has a plane. He has a buggy. He has a little submarine. He has.
You can never see his legs.
You never see his legs, but he has a like a little motorcycle, like not a motorcycle because like you could see his legs in a motorcycle, but like he has like the side, the little part, you know when you have a motorcycle, you have person like the side cubby,
The sidecar.
Yeah, like his little sidecar. What do you think about him having different vehicles and they all do different things to his like kit?
What if his vehicles correspond with the elemental Drake? It's an ocean Drake game. He gets a submarine.
I mean, it's dumb. It's dumb, right?
It's perfect,
but I
Nick.
kind of love it.
He gets a little tunneler when he's an Earth Drake. Oh, yes.
We make it like super OP though, so like his plane is like the magic damage thing. He does 80% magic damage, 20% physical when he's in his plane. When he's in his speeder, dude, he's physical and he moves real fast.
Okay, I'm gonna take this a little bit further. What if his ultimate just calls down a mech that your team can get inside?
Oh, that's so cool,
right? And you're like the plane is the cockpit the whole time.
And you
It's
all
just
have
called
different
Big
roles
Plane.
in the thing.
Yeah, you all have different roles and your buttons get replaced. Okay, wait a minute.
Hold on.
I kind of love
broken. Corki's broken, man.
it. Yeah,
I don't know. Like he's actually so hard to fucking fix.
he is. Yeah, which is weird because like you can still play him and he's fine.
I had a
right?
Smurf duo on my Smurf that they play. I can't remember if it was Corki Yumi or it was Corki Lulu, but they just spam that to climb. Like they're obviously like high diamond Smurfs, but still like they only play Corki plus an enchanter.
I feel like Corki is actually one of the hardest champions to beat when he is ahead.
Mm-hmm. He smashes
because he gets to benefit from expensive and synergistic itemization, and also that MR is a lot harder to build and less effective than armor.
He also has to deal with being the only character, I think, that builds Trinity Force plus crit, or one of very few.
So the Sheen procs just fuck.
The Sheens are crazy, but it's also just so expensive to get there. Because, like, your core build is, like, 12,000 gold.
Yeah. It's probably not even enough to buy everything.
It's, like, 4 for IE, 4 for Trinity Force, and then, like, boots plus a Zeal.
Yeah.
We
all
fixed.
Right.
I think we've done all we could. I don't know if he's fixed.
What if
better.
we made his mustache bigger?
That would fix him.
Okay, for real, this character should get a bigger head every time he gets a kill. Until it's just a head with a tiny little plane.
all I want
playing
for
got
Corki,
bigger.
all I want for Corki, man, is for him to have a skin where he's in like a little toy plane. He just like walks around like with his feet on the ground. He just picks up this little plane.
Ooh, what if we give him the Kled treatment? Where the plane is a vehicle, and when he gets shot down, he jumps out.
Wait.
Dude, that'd be so cool. It'd actually be so cool, man.
Okay, that's got potential.
That actually has potential, for real, though.
His mech gets destroyed.
Yeah.
And, like, his damage should his damage at all be conditional on like the status of his mech?
Oh, absolutely. I think like mechs do a lot more damage than people's.
What if you have to buy it back?
Hell
It's in the shop. It's an expensive item.
But like instead of building any regular items, it's just all upgrades to your mechs.
Yeah.
Hell yes. What if we like Victor Cross Kled, where you upgrade your mech, but if you lose it, you become a worthless character.
Yeah. And then when Kane ults you, if he gets the kill, he steals your mech, and then Kane's in the mech.
Whoa! What about Silas?
Yep, Silas can also steal your mech.
Silas! Holy shit! That's a whole nother fucking rabbit hole.
Oh god.
That old Corki video though, where he like
It's so fucking funny.
like that actually has cursed my way of viewing him. I can only view him as this long-legged creature.
He has to stay in the plane.
It's
not
bigger
that
on the inside.
ruined.
That one video has shoehorned, like, has removed any sort of like character development for Corki.
Mm-hmm.
I need to show you guys a video. This is unrelated. But it makes me laugh every fucking time.
Yeah. You want to end the episode there then?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll post it in the Discord with no context.
Hell yeah. So that was our third episode. Next week, we'll be talking about... we haven't decided who we're going to be talking about because we're not sure if we're going to just keep doing, like, pseudo-alphabeticals. If we're doing pseudo-alphabetical, then next week we're doing Darius, Diana, Draven, Mundo, which I think is fair.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll either do that or we're going to be splitting that with some of the E's, but we'll see. Anyways, till next time, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.